Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official top 5 worst NFL stadiums for 2022. Guys, this is just my opinion personally on what currently are the worst stadiums in the NFL. And let's get right into it, starting at number 5. It's going to be State Farm Stadium, formerly known as University of Phoenix Stadium, home of the Arizona Cardinals. This was built in 2006, maybe a little bit of a surprise to some people. I believe this is where they play the Fiesta Bowl, but this is a stadium. Let me just first right off the bat, I hate domes. I hate domes. They make the stadium look terrible. And the one main issue I have with this design, if you guys look at the one end zone that says red zone, like the big red zone sign in the one, side of the stadium, it looks just so bad. It looks like a weird, like a $13 banner you would find that gets hung from Target or something. It looks terrible to me. I don't know. I've never liked this stadium. Ohio State has played there a few times for major games. I don't understand why it hosts major games. I guess because it's a dome and it's a controlled environment. Very symmetrical, bland, the normal 3-tier upper deck type approach. The dark red seats or whatever. There's also gray seats. I think that color scheme is really bad. This is an underrated, bad stadium, in my opinion. State Farm Stadium comes in at number 5 on my worst stadiums list. Moving on to number 4, it's gonna be HIGHMARK Stadium, formerly known as the Ralph Wilson Stadium, home to the Buffalo Bills. And guys, the Bills are desperately needing a new stadium. I would say this best resembles a college-type vibe. There's just not a lot going on. You've got a very small upper deck. The height of this stadium is extremely small. I will say the reason it's number 4 and not higher on my most hated list is because I think it represents the city of Buffalo really well. Like, the stadium fits the city's personality, if that makes sense. But when you're talking about stadium that, needs a massive renovation, just new technology, this would be number 1. It is extremely outdated. That is why the Bills are scheduled to build a new one in 2026. But just looking at the aerial shots of this place, if you took away the seating colors and changed them, this could pass as like the Colorado's home stadium or some random Pac-12 school. It just looks small. It does sit over 70K, it's shocking they can fit 70K into this thing. Very small, very old, in desperate need of upgrades. It's not going to get upgrades. It's going to get knocked down, unfortunately, and the Bills are expected to build a new one. So coming in at number 4 on my list of worst stadiums in 2022 is going to be HIGHMARK Stadium. Moving on down to number 3, it's going to be TIAA Bank Field, home to the Jacksonville Jaguars, formerly known as Everbank Field. Of course, they do all these different name change. This thing was opened in 1995 and recently renovated in 2003 and 2014. And very similar to the Bills, except a lot more tacky, in my opinion. Smaller type stadium. It could certainly pass as a college stadium, in my opinion. It does have a pool, and some people love the idea of a pool. Some people hate it. When it comes to an NFL team, I think it looks really tacky having a pool in a stadium. I know it's Jacksonville, I know it's Florida, but do it for like a college, like Miami or someone would make sense. But for the Jacksonville Jaguars, for an NFL team, doesn't really make sense. And then, of course, they have major attendance issues, which causes them to tarp off portions of the upper deck, which makes the stadium look all the worst. Maybe they'll be able to rid those attendance problems with Trevor Lawrence and a young Jacksonville nucleus You know, they also got Trayvon Walker. I think that was a terrible pick, but they also got him. So we'll see what Jacksonville is able to do. But overall, this stadium gets docked points for the exterior. Terrible. Also, don't love the pool. And really, there's just not a lot to it. This is another one. It could pass as a rent, like the home to Virginia. You know, the Virginia football team. It's just a small looking stadium. It doesn't look like an NFL team should be playing here, just in my opinion. So TIAA Bank Field comes in at number 3. Moving up to number 2, or moving down, I guess, however you want to call it. Number 2, it's Nissan Stadium, home to the Tennessee Titans. This place is basically falling apart. It has a major crack in between some of the upper deck seatings. It's very symmetrical. It's extremely bland. And for such a great city, Nashville, Tennessee, this is such an underwhelming stadium located in kind of a weird part of Tennessee. Again, the exterior is horrible. There is not one single thing special that makes this stadium unique. Horrible. And I'm shocked it was built like in 1999, I think is when it was built. It looks like it was built in the 70s with how bad it is. They are clamoring for a new stadium in Tennessee. We'll see if they're able to get it, but they need to knock this thing down. It is a complete eyesore to look at, in my opinion, and it comes in at number 2 in my list of worst stadiums. But of course, there can only be one. And guys, we all know what it is. It's FedEx Field, home to the now Washington Commanders. Of course, they are in talks to build a new stadium as early as maybe 2025. Hopefully, they'll break ground soon. This place should not host another NFL game. Point blank, period. They've completely ruined the upper deck. They had horrible attendance. So as you guys can see the progression, you look at it right there. The upper deck is full. It looks like a normal Olden Stadium. They start removing literal sections of the upper deck because they had major attendance issues, but they left the steel beams up. And each year, they've basically removed more and more of the upper deck, and they've made it look worse and worse and worse and worse. To this point, it's just knock the upper deck down. How many people does it sit at this point? You've limited the capacity. You've sliced off half of the upper deck. Just knock the whole thing down. Oh my God, they've ruined that place. It was already a bad stadium, and then you've got the incident with the Eagles fans falling on Jalen Hurts. These two stadiums, Nissan and FedEx, are falling apart. They should not be hosting NFL games at this point. The fact that these stadiums are even allowed is shocking, and especially this one, FedEx Field, man. Oh my God. It's worse than the Coliseum was, than the Raiders Coliseum. That's how bad FedEx Field is at this point, and what they've done to the upper deck and that overall stadium. It is terrible. They are expected to get a new facility soon. The Titans, maybe, we'll see. It's, Nissan Stadium isn't that old. Jaguars, they're stuck with their place for a while. And another thing that I hate, they keep renaming the stadiums. So these new people start investing and paying for the rights to name the stadiums. It's so stupid. We're so used to Everbank Field, and then it randomly becomes TIAA Bank Field. And then the same State Farm Stadium, University of Phoenix Stadium, we remember that. They changed their name. That's one I just really never vibed with, and I don't know why it hosts so many big events other than it's a dome located in Phoenix. I mean, for Phoenix's dome, it's really underwhelming in my opinion. It's just very bland. Again, with that stadium, there's not one thing that's unique about it other than the fact that the field is on wheels and it comes out to get sun, but you're not going to see that during the game. There's nothing unique about that stadium. And then also, HIGHMARK Stadium, they're getting a new one, thankfully, in the coming years. But guys, that's my top 5 worst stadiums of 2022. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.